Welcome back to English online classes.
Dear children, today we are going to discuss the poem Amanda written by Robin Klein. Through this poem, the poet shows us how difficult it can be for a young girl to grow up. In childhood, she is very happy listening to the fairy tales and she imagines herself to be in the same situation. However, this can't last forever. At some point of time or other, she has to grow up. So when she grows up, what happens? She has to leave behind all the fairy tales and she has to accept the reality as it is. Hence, she must get used to having her own set of responsibilities such as doing her homeworks, helping her parents, cleaning her shoes, etc. Before we move on to the poem, let's discuss more about the poet Robin Klein.
Robin McMurray Klein is a well-known Australian author of books for children. She was born on 28 February 1936 in Kempsey, New South Wales and now resides near Melbourne. She is famous for children's and young adult fiction. Her notable works are Hating Alison Ashley, Halfway Across the Galaxy and Turn Left, Came Back to Show You I Could Fly.
Every child feels that he or she is controlled and instructed not to do one thing or the other. You might also felt that your freedom is curtailed. Let's read the poem Amanda and learn more about Amanda's feelings.
Amanda. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. I am an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden. The freedom is sweet. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I am speaking to you, Amanda? I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You are always moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda.
The tone of this poem is amazing on the whole. The tones used by Amanda's mother and by herself are vastly different. Amanda's mother is authoritative and strict. On the other hand, Amanda is dreamy and childish. The clash between them is what provides amusement for readers.
Dear children, you might have noticed that I have used different tones in the first stanza, second stanza, third, fourth and fifth and all. Here what happens is that stanzas 2, 4 and 6 are given in parentheses because they are the thoughts of the child. Okay? And in between the instructions that she is being given by her mother, which are given in the stanzas 1, 3 and 5. And so different rhyme schemes are used in this poetry. Let's analyze the poem. Look at the first stanza. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. Here hunch means bend the top of one's body forward. Bend. What do you mean by slouching? Action of sitting in a lazy way, a drooping way. Okay? Now in this stanza, Amanda's mother tells Amanda in a very strict voice not to bite her nails. Then she tells Amanda not to slouch her shoulders. Instead, she wants Amanda to sit up with her back straightened. Okay? Now see the rhyme scheme used in the first stanza. A, B, A. Okay? A, B, A is the rhyme scheme used in this stanza. Now see the literary devices. Don't. In the beginning you could see that the first word don't gets repeated. And so the poetic device is anaphora. What is anaphora? Anaphora is a poetic device in which a word or group of words is usually repeated at the beginning of sentences or clauses to create a special effect. Now, look at the third line. Stop slouching, sit straight. That s sound is repeated. So what is the poetic device used here? Alliteration. Stop, slouching, sit, straight. So alliteration is the second poetic device used in this stanza. Now you can see that the word Amanda is repeated. So the next poetic device is repetition. Okay? Amanda, the name Amanda is repeated in the first line, second line and in the last line. So repetition. In the second line, you could see the use of the vowel sound repeatedly. Don't, your, shoulders. The O sound is repeated. So, the poetic device is assonance. Okay? Now, let's move on to the second stanza. That is the parenthesis along with this. There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. Here languid means relaxed. That is to depict that the waves of the sea sway gently. Now what do you mean by drifting? Drifting means carried slowly by a current of water. Blissfully means extreme happiness. Okay, very happily. Now, Amanda's mother actually tells Amanda in a very strict voice not to bite her nails. Then she tells Amanda not to slouch her shoulders. Instead, she wants Amanda to sit up with her back straightened. But what happens? Amanda withdraws from her real life to an imaginary world. She imagines that there is a beautiful green sea, emerald, color is green, okay, beautiful sea, in which only she lives and there is nobody there to bother her. Moreover, she is no longer a human being, but has taken the form of a mermaid. I think so that you know a mermaid, half human being and half fish, isn't it? So she has taken the form of a mermaid and is drifting along in a relaxed fashion within that sea. So here actually she imagines herself to be in a fairy tale, isn't it? A character, being a character in a fairy tale, and she wants to be away from her mother so that she might not ask her to do this thing and that thing. Since this stanza is the parenthesis of the first stanza, we can give the rhyme scheme as the continuation of the first stanza. So what will be the rhyme scheme here? See me blissfully. The three words end with the same sound. So we can give the rhyme scheme as see, see, see. Okay? Now let's discuss the poetic devices used here. Look at the first line. Emerald sea. Emerald sea. Here the green color of the sea is compared to emerald, which is green in color. Okay, so comparison is used. The green color, see, is compared to a stone, emerald stone, which is green in color. So which is the poetic device used here? Metaphor. Okay, now look at the last line. Mermaid. She wants to be a mermaid. Mermaid is a well-known imaginary creature. In this poem, Amanda imagines herself to be the mythological character like mermaid. So, the poetic device used here is allusion. ALLUSION. So, what is allusion? Allusion is a literary device in which the writer or the speaker refers either directly or indirectly to a person or thing in history or to a work of art or literature. So that is allusion. Understood? So here Amanda imagines herself to be that character in that fairy tale, that is mermaid. Now the third stanza. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So in this stanza, Amanda's mother asks Amanda whether she has completed the homework. She further asks Amanda whether she has cleaned up her own room. And finally, she asks her whether she has cleaned her shoes or not. So the mother was continuously nagging at her, isn't it? Asking her whether she has done this thing or that thing. Look at the rhyme scheme used here. AABA. AABA is the rhyme scheme, same as that of the first stanza. Now, poetic devices. In the first two lines, did you gets repeated. So in the beginning, if it gets repeated, the poetic device used is anaphora. Okay? The word Amanda gets repeated, and so repetition. In the third line, you could see the prominence of the vowel sound O. Thought, told, you, your, shoes, O sound. The repetition of the vowel sound O. So again, assonance in this stanza. Next stanza. I am an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. Here in this stanza, orphan, without parents, child without parents. Hush means silence. Bare feet, naked. That means without using any chappals. So in this stanza, again Amanda withdraws into an imaginary world. She imagines that she is an orphan and is roaming around on the street bare feet. And she says that she will be designing in the soft dust with her bare feet, thus making them dirtier. In the last line she says, silence is golden, freedom is sweet. That shows that she likes or she cherishes the silence and the freedom. Amanda's mother wants her to keep everything neat and clean. But Amanda wants to play in the dust with her bare feet. Moreover, she is so fed up of these constant instructions from her mother that she says that silence is golden, which means that silence is very crucial and precious. She further says that freedom is sweet. This means that she never feels free when she is with her mother. Okay? Now let's discuss the poetic devices. So same as that of the second stanza, the rhyme scheme used here is C, C, C. Okay? Now look at the last line. Silence is golden, freedom is sweet. Here, silence is said to be so glorious like golden color. Silence is compared to golden color, isn't it? So, metaphor is used. Again, Freedom is sweet. Freedom is compared to sweet. Freedom is said to be sweet in taste. So again comparison, and so metaphor is the poetic device used in the last line. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I am speaking to you, Amanda? Here, acne means pimple. Okay? Now, in this stanza, Amanda's mother forbids her to eat chocolates. She says that if she eats chocolates, she will develop acne on her face. And then she commands her to look at her when she is talking to her. Okay? Here again the same rhyme scheme is used. A, B, A, Amanda, Amanda, Amanda rhymes. And U is another sound. So A, B, A is the rhyme scheme. And when we look into the poetic devices, we could see assonance in the third line. You could see the use of that sound, the prominence of the sound O, U, look, you, and the another sound is also used, please, me, speaking, so, when. So there are that sound is also repeated. So assonance is a poetic device used in the third line. And repetition is also there. The word Amanda gets repeated thrice. So repetition. Now let's move on to the next stanza. I am Rapunzel, I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I will certainly never let down my bright hair. Here tranquil means calm, free from disturbance. Let down means to allow to descend. You have earlier learned the phrasal verb let down, and the meaning of that phrasal verb let down is disappointed, but here the meaning is to allow to descend. I am sure that you know the story of Rapunzel. Here Amanda withdraws into her fantasy world and she imagines herself to be Rapunzel. She imagines that she is perfectly happy to live alone in the tower, for she has nothing to worry about. In fact, she is so happy with her life that she will never let down her hair in an attempt to escape from the tower. Okay? Here again the rhyme scheme used is C, C, C. Care, rare, hair rhymes. Okay? Now, I am Rapunzel. Rapunzel is a character in a fairy tale. So here the poet has used a famous fairy tale character, Rapunzel, to compare whom Amanda with. So the poetic device used is allusion. ANNUSION. Allusion is the poetic device used in the first line. Okay? Now we can discuss the last stanza of the poem. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You're always moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. So here, sulk. Sulk means be silent and bad-tempered out of annoyance. So whenever you are angry, when you are silent, we use the word sulk. Okay? Nagged. Nag means harass. Harass someone constantly to do something that they are not really like to do. Okay? Now, in this stanza, Amanda's mother tells her to stop sulking. She also accuses her daughter of having mood swings very frequently. Finally, she tells Amanda that anyone who saw her would think that her mother has been nagging at her. Okay? What is the rhyme scheme used here? A, B, A. And what about the poetic devices? Again, repetition is there. Amanda is repeated. And look at the first line. Stop sulking. That sound is repeated, and that's why alliteration. So this poem conveys the moral that children need to be allowed more freedom. Excessive nagging may make them disobedient and hence they may develop a type of dislike for real life.
This is a part of every child's life. Growth into adolescence and then to adulthood. However, this process is more difficult for girls than that for the boys. This is because girls are always expected to behave in a certain way, to be the epitome of elegance in their every movements. That is why Amanda's mother doesn't allow her to slouch and wants her to sit up straight instead. Young girls are also expected to take care of their appearance. That's why Amanda's mother doesn't want her to develop acne on her face, and so she tells her not to eat the chocolates. Young girls are expected always to smile and not to express the bitterness, and that's why the mother asks her not to sulk or to be moody. The expectations can seem like a burden to the young girls. And that is exactly how Amanda feels. She doesn't want to be denied chocolate and she wants to sit and behave exactly as she wants to. She would rather indulge in fantasies than clean her room or her shoes. Childhood is a time when we indulge in our fantasies and we do as we please. But as soon as we reach adolescence, we are expected to abandon such practices and do as we are told. Amanda has reached that age that is between childhood and adulthood. The poet shows this through the growth of acne on her face. Since Amanda is no longer a child, her mother expects her to do some responsibilities, such as finishing her homeworks, cleaning her shoes, cleaning her room, etc. Amanda wants to postpone the process of growing up. She feels that she's always been nagged by her mother. So that's why she wanted to be in a world of fantasies, away from human beings and their expectations. As a mermaid, she is alone in the sea. As an orphan, she is alone on the street. And as Rapunzel, she is alone in her tower. Robert Klein's Amanda is a poem to which every young girl can relate. We have all felt pressurized to be perfect, and more often than not, that pressure has come from our mothers. Perhaps we have also dealt with the pressure in the same way that Amanda has, slowly but surely resisting it. However, our mothers haven't stopped nagging up because they feel that it is for our good. Hence, the entire trajectory of this poem is something with which we all are very familiar with. Now let's discuss the questions that are given in your textbooks.
Now, look at the first question. How old do you think Amanda is? Amanda could be between 10 to 15 years. How do you know this? We come to know that she is in the age of 10 to 15 because the children of this age group deny the rules laid down by elders. And they have a tendency to imagine themselves to become the characters like Mermaid and Rapunzel. Who do you think is speaking to her? Amanda's mother is speaking to her. Why are stanzas 2, 4 and 6 are given in parentheses? Stanzas 2, 4 and 6 are given in parentheses because they are the thoughts or the desires of Amanda and nobody listens to it. Who is the speaker in stanzas 2, 4 and 6? The speaker of the stanzas 2, 4 and 6 is Amanda herself. Do you think this speaker is listening to the speaker in stanzas 1, 3, 5 and 7? Yes, she listens to the speaker in stanzas 1, 3, 5 and 7 but not ready to accept it. Now the fifth question, what could Amanda do if she were a mermaid? If she were a mermaid, she will be the only resident of the beautiful green sea. She thinks that her life will be very relaxing in the sea and she will be taken away with the currents of water. She will be able to enjoy her freedom. Now, next question. Is Amanda an orphan? Why does she say so? Amanda is not an orphan, but she still calls herself an orphan because she wants to be free from the rules and regulations put on by her parents. Next question. Do you know the story of Rapunzel? Why does she want to be Rapunzel? Rapunzel was a beautiful princess who was captured by an old witch in a tower. The old witch climbed up the tower with the help of Rapunzel's very long hair, which she let down for her through a window of the tower. One day, a prince visits her by climbing the tower with the help of her long hair. When the witch comes to know this, she separates both of them. But both Rapunzel and the prince meet after a gap of many years and then they live life happily. Here Amanda wants to be Rapunzel because she knew that in the story there was no staircase to enter the tower. So it was only possible with the help of Rapunzel's long hair. Now she says that she will never let down her hair so that someone could enter and help her. Okay? Now the next question. What does the girl earn for? What does this poem tell you about Amanda? Okay. The girl Amanda earns for freedom and peace in her life. She is constantly reminded of her mistakes by her mother. Her mother wants her to follow the code of conduct of good behavior. She is doing so because she wants her child to be well mannered and obedient. But while doing this, she forgets that she is a child and she has to be allowed some freedom. Now, the last question. Read the last stanza. Do you think Amanda is sulking and is moody? Amanda is not actually moody. She feels oppressed because of her mother's constant nagging. She doesn't want to be pointed out for such small things like cleaning the room, sitting straight, cleaning her shoes, completing her homework, etc. She feels that she is not free and is under a constant pressure of trying to be well-behaved girl as per her parents' demand. Now let's summarize the poem. Instructions that Amanda didn't like. Don't bite nails, don't hunch shoulders, stop slouching and sit up straight, finish homework, tidy the room, clean the shoes, don't eat the chocolate, look into the eyes when being talked, don't sulk, don't be moody. Now the desires of Amanda. First one, to become mermaid so that she could live alone at a peaceful place without any instruction. Second one, to become orphan so that she may not have any guardian to give her strict instructions. And the last one, to become Rapunzel. She would be happy even in a secluded and prison-like place where she will not have anybody to instruct her.
That's all regarding this lesson. Read it several times. Complete the notes and send it to me as early as possible. And we'll meet the next week with another lesson. Thank you.